What's going on, everyone? Take Three podcast back here again. Week 10 preview is up. We're finally reaching the midway point of the season where we're really finding out what teams are actual Super Bowl contenders, what teams are kind of on the fray, will make the playoffs, and then what teams are just like, they're just not there. And then there's a lot of teams in the league this year where we thought we're going to be something. You got your Bucs, like they're not. Rams, we thought would have high hopes. They're not. Green Bay obviously is having their struggles. The Cardinals, who else? The Chargers are they're there, but the health isn't there. So, I mean, we're kind of really getting to the point where we know what teams are going to be competing come playoff time and what teams are going to be jostling for position as the next few weeks play out. So, I mean, going into week 10, what games are you looking at? What do you like on this docket? Obviously, we got our Eagles back on Monday Night Football, Chargers, San Fran, Sunday Night Football. On paper, good matchup. But when I see 7-point spread, I'm like, what the hell do they know that I don't know? It feels like an ass whooping's in store. Obviously, we get a London game early. So, I mean, what games do you like on this week 10 slate as we get into this?
This week 10 slate's kind of funny because if you look at it on paper, you would think there's some really good matchups, like you said. Like if we looked at it before the season started, we'd be really excited about like Dallas and Green Bay and Indianapolis and Las Vegas. But like there's Arizona and the Rams, those have all turned into lackluster matchups. But I'm really excited for Minnesota and Buffalo. We'll see if Josh Allen plays. We'll kind of see how that goes. Seattle and Tampa Bay I'm kind of interested in, and then Chargers and San Francisco. But even then, all those games, like especially the Sunday night, there's still some injury concerns. So it'll be an interesting slate. Looking at these games, it kind of feels like an obvious NFL weekend, which saying that out loud probably means there's going to be quite a few upsets.
For sure. Yeah, I wish Fox honestly would stop pumping that Dallas Green Bay bullshit. Like nobody's buying into that. I see that every time I watched it. All World Series coming November 13th, the rivalry of all rivalries. Like, no, it's stop with that shit. Like you'll put it on America's Game of the Week, but nobody's actually excited for that. Like the Green Bay Packers suck. Dallas, obviously, they should dominate the Packers, to be honest, if we're being real. And I hate the Cowboys guts, but yeah, they just need to stop pumping the rivalry of all rivalry things because it's not there this year. But yeah, let's jump in. First game on here, as we mentioned, we got a London game. Actually, I think it's in Germany. Well, it's overseas regardless. The Seahawks, they take on the Bucs. The 6-3 Seahawks are taking on the 4-5 Tampa Bay Bucs. It's weird to say that. Like, I did not think I'd be sitting here saying the 6-3 Seahawks are taking on below 500 Tom Brady going into Europe. Tampa Bay is only 3-point favorites. I mean, if you asked us preseason when you look at this game, you're probably thinking the Bucs are like what, a 10.5-point favorite, touchdown favorite at least. Like they're going to beat the piss out of Geno Smith. But yeah, the Seahawks are underdogs. I love them as underdogs, to be honest. I think they're I don't know. I mean, guess you could say the better football team. I just think they're playing better football. They're a more complete team. Geno's doing his thing. Kenneth Walker is obviously playing well. They have the weapons. It's always Europe games are unpredictable. So, I mean, what do you see when you look at Tom Brady taking on Geno? Weird matchup. Seahawks, can they get to 7-3? Can they beat Tampa Bay? Obviously, the front is built for Tampa Bay to stop that run, but we'll see what they got on the road in London.
Yeah, so the matchup is kind of unique for Tampa Bay because their strength is stopping the run, and Seattle loves to run the ball so much. But it's wild to say, but like, yeah, Seattle's a much better football team right now. Tampa Bay still has those offensive line issues. They were kind of handed that win against the Rams. I say that lightly because they did get a game-winning drive. They did drive it down and score, but like the Rams, if you watch that game, they basically had two opportunities to score at the end because that's just how poorly I feel like the Rams handled it at the end. So like I don't get any confidence from Tampa Bay winning last week at all. Seattle's been a much better team. They look like for sure a playoff team this year. And it's crazy to say, but like I'm all over Seattle. I absolutely love the +3 this week, excuse me. I don't understand why Tampa Bay's favored. I guess it's technically a Bucs home game, but obviously it's not. The game's in Germany, so it's like it's not a real home game. I think the crowd will be rocking, not necessarily for either team, and it's just like I don't know what you could really reason with to pick the Bucs right now based off everything we've seen this year. Like this game should be all Seattle, and when I say that, I don't expect Seattle to win by like 10 to 14 points. I still expect them to win by like probably like 4-7. Like I still think it'll be one score because it's Tom Brady and Tampa Bay's defense is still good. But like I'm all over Seattle +3 here. Like the fact that they're getting points, like I think Seattle just straight up wins.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy to look at Geno Smith, 15 touchdowns, 4 picks. Just I never thought in the craziest world that he would be performing and the Seahawks would be performing like that. I think we say that every week. And yeah, I mean, the TB -3 is literally, that's why it's Tom Brady -3. That's why I don't think Vegas could wake up and start the day or start week 10 posting their lines saying that Tom Brady's going to be an underdog against Geno Smith, which is, yeah, it's crazy. And I love it too. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game by any stretch. I mean, I think it'll be a grinded out game in London, maybe a 23-21, but I do like the Seahawks as well. I just think they're playing better football. They feel like the better football team, and they'll find a way to get it done. It's crazy to be picking Geno Smith to beat Tom Brady in 2022. I mean, even to see Geno Smith playing football in 2022 feels crazy. But yeah, I think the Seahawks, the dream season keeps going. I think they go to 7-3. I mean, 4-6 for Tampa Bay doesn't really put them out of it with the way the division looks, right? As we keep saying, the race to 8 wins, the rate maybe 9 wins you the South. So I mean, it'll be close, be contested. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way, but I like the Seahawks and the points just like you for this pretty much the same exact reasons. Let's move it on into the early afternoon. I have an asterisk next to the Buffalo -3.5. The line is considerably shifted since we recorded just yesterday when we did the week 9 recap. It was like 5.5. The Vikings were 5.5 point dogs. Obviously the Josh Allen elbow injuries worrisome. So there's kind of like two tails of the tape, right? It's like, if Josh Allen plays, what do they look like? If he doesn't play and Case Keenum plays, then what does that line look like? So I put a big asterisk because it's basically doing this is assuming that Josh Allen's going to be out there and battle it, which as the week goes on, I don't think he's going to, right? He didn't practice today officially, they said. So, I mean, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to keep it tight to the chest, probably take it down to game time, and we could see Case Keenum roll out there. But, I mean, you got to like what the Vikings are doing, right? They're 7-1. They only have their 1-L is when they came into Philly, got beat up, and they found a way to rebound, right? Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins, they're having fun. They got some swag, to be honest. When you see Kirk Cousins on the plane with the chains and Justin Jefferson seems happy, the weapons are out there. Everything's rolling right now for the Vikings. And yeah, I think they're facing, I love them just because they're dogs for 5.5. We both loved it yesterday. Obviously we didn't get it, but I still think 3.5, right? Even if Case Keenum plays, like, I love it even more, even if you get them as a dog, because I think the line could completely flip and you could see a Vikings -2.5, right? You could see it flip around. So, I mean, what are you expecting? Do you think Josh Allen plays? Do you think Case Keenum can kind of surprise us and win a game as we're riding with the Vikings?
Little Case Keenum revenge game against his old franchise. I don't think Keenum has. I mean, he'll have a chance to win. I'm not going to get crazy as the NFL, but like it'd be a long shot. I think you're right. The line would flip to a Minnesota favorite. It's just interesting to see what Buffalo's going to do. Josh Allen is honestly the Josh Allen Bills, right? Like, he's the entire offense. He accounts for like 90% of the touchdowns. So it's like a ridiculous statistic when you look at it. So it's like, if Josh Allen's not on the field, like, you can feel really good about rolling Minnesota. If he is on the field, is he 100%? There's going to be question marks. He's coming off 3 bad halves in a row, the last 6 quarters of football, dating back to the second half of the Green Bay game, and then last week against the Jets. He has not looked good. He threw 2 picks in both of those games. So it's like Josh Allen and the Bills have not exactly looked great the last couple of weeks. And now you're factoring in Josh Allen might not play. And if he does play, he might not be 100%. Coming off poor decision making the last 2 weeks. Like, I think everything points to Minnesota. And like, I honestly like Minnesota with or without Josh Allen. If Josh Allen doesn't play, then I would hammer Minnesota. If Josh Allen does play, I would definitely bet Minnesota a little lighter, but I still like Minnesota. I like them getting points quite a bit. I'd love the 5.5, still really like the 3.5. And Minnesota has been quietly so good. Their one loss against Philadelphia, who's I feel is the best team in the league right now. They're undefeated for a reason. And it's just Minnesota's been rolling, obviously. They changed the offense, they run less, they give Justin Jefferson the ball more. It's like I like this Vikings team a lot. And like, this could be, obviously, if Josh Allen doesn't play, it's not much of a statement. But if Josh Allen's out there, it's in Buffalo. Minnesota has a chance to make a statement. They only have 1 loss. Nobody's really talking about them. Everyone's just like, oh, yeah, the Eagles are the 1 seed. Then they talk about other teams, and they're like, oh, yeah, plus Minnesota's right there. It's like, it seems like Minnesota's in the same conversation with like San Francisco, who's 4-4, and that just seems asinine to me. I think Minnesota's getting slept on all around, and it's like, it's hard not to really like the Vikings here, regardless of what the Bills situation is with Josh Allen.
For sure. And I just want to see those guys that it was like week 3 or 4 when the Eagles start out undefeated and they say, we had a Vikings win on there, and the Vikings
Yeah.
aren't anything. The Vikings are 7-1 now. So the Vikings, are they something now? But I do think everybody, it's kind of like that Cardinals syndrome from last year. Everybody's kind of waiting for the Kirk Cousins implosion, right? They have a primetime game where they just implode. But I don't know. I like what they have out there. I like what they have out there going into this game. They're figuring out a way to get Justin Jefferson going. They still have Dalvin Cook. As I mentioned, I love the TJ Hawkinson pickup at the deadline. Great pickup by them to add another weapon at tight end, considering Irv Smith is a walking injury. I can't believe the Lions actually gave him in division to a team you play twice a year that you have to beat to win. It's just insane. But yeah, back to this game. I mean, yeah, the Josh Allen thing, as you said, if he's out there, we don't know what the throws are going to look like. Could it look like a Matt Stafford where it's just knucklers and doesn't really have the zip on it? So that concerns me going in there and how effective he'd be. But then if Case Keenum comes out there, it's like, okay, well, if you're creating a strategy for when Case Keenum, you just run the football, right? Use Singletary, and then you look at the Bills. Their leading rusher is also Josh Allen, so they haven't really ran the ball well out of the running back position. So yeah, as you mentioned, Josh Allen's the everything. He's the motor for the Bills. The Bills, yeah, they're in serious. I mean, we talked about it ending week 9. They're kind of in trouble going forward if the elbow. If they don't find some way to heal it up, and unfortunately, elbow injuries, ligament injuries like this, they don't just heal overnight, right? It might not heal all season. He might have to deal with it. He'll eventually come back and play. We don't know if he'll go this week, but yeah, I'm all over the Vikings. The Vikings are confident, 5 straight wins. It'll be their 4th game against a backup quarterback, I believe, if they win this one. So they have 4 W's against backups. They're kind of getting luck of the draw with the starters getting hurt. But yeah, I mean, the Vikings, they're churning it all together at the right time, and it's just unfortunate for the Bills that Josh Allen has that elbow injury, and we just don't know what he's going to look like out there, or if he's even going to be out there.
And the thing with Buffalo right now, which makes it interesting, is like I feel like they're leaning more on the side of like wanting to play Josh, and like because this is my logic behind it. This is what I think. I think winning the division and getting the 1 seed is a much bigger deal to Buffalo than like any other team in the AFC. I feel like they feel that if the conference championship games or the playoff games against the Chiefs last 2 years, if they're hosted in Buffalo, I think they feel like they'd be victorious, which – and then all of a sudden you look and you blew a game against Miami. You blew a game against the Jets. The AFC East is all of a sudden really bundled up. The Chiefs are right there with the same amount of losses, just 2. So it's like I feel like Buffalo values the home field in the playoffs, and I think they value it more because to me, it seems like Buffalo thinks they would have been in the Super Bowl if they had the home field. So to me, I just see a version of Buffalo where they push Josh Allen out there when they really shouldn't in the regular season. And I hope that doesn't happen, but it just based off the last 2 years, based off where the franchise feels they feel like they're right here ready for a Super Bowl. Like I could see them pushing Josh when they really shouldn't. I don't know. It's just an interesting situation to monitor.
Yeah, I feel like there's an immense amount of pressure on the Buffalo Bills. And that was why one of my questions when we actually previewed the AFC months ago was how will the Bills handle actually having legit expectations, preseason Super Bowl favorites? I think as of right now, they're still clear. Like they're still 3-1 Super Bowl favorites over the Chiefs and Eagles, who are both 5-1. So yeah, I mean, there's legitimate pressure we have to live up to this, right? There's real expectations. We're really expected to win a Super Bowl. And now it comes to this, right? So yeah, we'll see how they manage it. I mean, Sean McDermott's been pretty smart, right? That organization's been pretty damn smart with what they've done building this team. So yeah, I mean, will they risk it for 1 game? I would go against it. I would kind of let Josh Allen sit this week, give the elbow a week of rest, see where it's at next week. But yeah, I mean, there could be a world where they push him because they feel pressure, where they need to win. They need to be the 1 seed. They need to live up to the expectations that are kind of there for this season for them. And it could really define them going forward, right? How they manage Josh Allen's injury.
I think they're better off resting him. And if that means a wild card spot, well, then get the team ready to go on the wild card spot. The Bills are so dynamic. I think they'd be fine. But I just think they feel the pressure right now. So it'll be interesting.
For sure. Okay, let's keep it moving. Sunday Night Football, the Chargers going into San Fran, the 49ers coming off a bye week. Debo's coming back. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's there. Jimmy G's playing QB. And then you got Justin Herbert trotting in with Joshua Palmer. Who else? DeAndre Carter. A bunch of guys. And Austin Eckler. I mean, I guess if Eckler's out there, he kind of counts the receiver since he literally does everything for that offense with Justin Herbert. But yeah, I mean, it's another year. Health's not there. Everything's kind of falling apart for Brandon Staley. They are 5-3, so they're quietly building their record, looking to get themselves in wild card position. Then San Fran's 4-4, battling it out with the Seahawks for the division. How do you see this going? As I mentioned off the top, top. I mean, San Fran -7. I was like, when I first looked at it, I was like, what the hell caused it to get to this point? But I guess Vegas is really on Kyle Shanahan, healthier team coming off a bye week at home. They should be able to handle the Chargers, but then it was like so damn hard for me to pick the 49. It was just so hard with Justin Herbert to not take him as a 7-point dog. It just felt weird, but I ultimately leaned 49ers just because of that. They seem healthier, more weapons out there with Debo being back. Ayuk's doing his thing, Kittle, and coming off the bye week with Shanahan, they should have a good scheme. But what do you see for Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, I think you did a really good job setting it up and explaining it, because like you take Justin Herbert +7 all day, right? But then you add context to everything, and it's like, because I feel good about picking the Niners as the winner. It's the -7 that scares me. But you add in all the context that you just did, come off a bye week, Christian McCaffrey, another week in that system, Debo Samuel's back, Brendan Ayuk, George Kittle. Then you look at the Chargers that are just banged up top to bottom. No Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen again. When your receiving core is your tight end Everett, Palmer, DeAndre Carter, and then Austin Eckler, who's obviously very, very talented. Eckler's great. It's just not enough, I don't think. This Chargers team was going to have to score points in San Francisco to keep up Sunday Night Football. I think the Niners are going to be ready to go. Coming off a bye week, I think we're going to see some creative play calling and script in the first half of the game. And then I still think we're just going to see like heavy doses of Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel. I can see a game where George Kittle is not even that big of a factor through the air. Tons of blocking. He'll be on the field a lot because he's fantastic. But it's like, that's how stacked this Niners team is. And it's just, even if the Chargers were healthy, I feel like it'd be a 3-point Niners spread. And I think it'd be more fun and pretty interesting. But like, I think I would still lean Niners to straight up win. The Chargers need all their guys to be able to keep up and score with the Niners in this scenario. And like, they don't have their guys. The 7 points scare me just because of how dynamic a quarterback Justin Herbert is. But I'd be very surprised if the Chargers somehow – I wouldn't be surprised if they cover, but I'd be very surprised if they somehow like go into San Francisco Sunday night, no weapons, San Francisco off a bye, and they win the game. I just think, and you add context, everything points to the Niners here.
For sure. I mean, this is the team that got in sweaties with Cleveland. They got in sweaty with Denver, needed OT. They just got in a sweaty with the Falcons. They lost to Seattle, obviously, where they're at. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard. And no Rashawn Slater at left tackle. So I expect a heavy dosage of the pass rush, right? D'Amico Ryan should be dialing up the pass rush. Getting after Justin Herbert, he still has the rib injury, right? So the mobility is not going to be 100% there. And, yeah, I mean, I love the 49ers for all the points that you kind of added in. That they're coming off a bye. They're healthier. They have an all-pro tight end that they can use as a 6-0 lineman, which is it's just a scary team when everything's churning. And I expect Kyle Shanahan to have his team off a bye, just ready to rock at home. I'd be truly, truly shocked if the Niners lost. I mean, if Justin Herbert found a way to cover, like wouldn't surprise me. I'd be like, okay, yeah. Well, I just took the healthier team didn't come through off a bye. But I would be shocked if the Chargers down 2 receivers, trotting out Joshua Palmer and DeAndre Carter, are going to get the job done on the road in San Fran.
I'm here to see if we get any fun, intriguing Christian McCaffrey plays, considering more time in the system. And last time he was on the field, he had all kinds of touchdowns in all kinds of forms. So it'll be fun to watch.
For sure. The Debo McCaffrey backfield would be pretty. I imagine Shanahan schemed something up for that, and then still have Ayuk out wide, so it should be a lot of weapons on the play for San Fran. They are a scary team if they start to put it together, even with Jimmy G at quarterback. Let's move on. Last game on the docket, Monday Night Football. Just a quick point. I mean, the only thing I have is, do you think the Eagles, they got 10 days of rest? Do you think they somehow come out, lay a dud? I don't think in any way they lose, but you think they come out sluggish, maybe a little bit slow? And I guess the only thing really on this is, do they cover the 10.5? I think it got bumped up to 11 somewhere against Taylor Heineke at home. Obviously, it's a little disappointing we didn't get to face Carson Wentz coming back to the link. Their energy would have been pretty amazing there, but obviously, just like every year, Carson Wentz gets some type of crazy injury, and he is not able to play. But yeah, I mean, did they come out slow? 10 days of rest kind of scares some teams. I don't think so. Nick Sirianni usually has his team ready to go. Had them ready coming out of the second half in the bye, after the bye against the Texans. But yeah, how's it look? Do you think we cover the 10.5? Big lines always scare me in divisional games.
Yeah, too big of a line for me to be comfortable betting on it, to be honest. But I do think they cover. And I think they come out ready to play simply because Nick Sirianni has had this team ready all year. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of this team. Obviously, that's very simplistic, but Jalen Hurts' leadership skills have been off the chart. I think we all agree with that. Dating back to when he was at bench in Alabama, he's always just overcome adversity. He's ready to go. He's locked in. He keeps talking about how this team has accomplished nothing so far. He compared it to when they were 8-0 with Alabama and then lost the national championship. So it's like, I just love that energy, that attitude. And like, with all that being said, it's like, I can't pick against them. I think they'll be ready to go. There's definitely a chance the Commanders cover the spread. That's just so many points. But I would take the Eagles in a similar fashion of the first game. I think the first game was 24-8. Or I believe that was the final score, and then it was a scoreless second half for the Eagles, and they just kind of sailed to a victory. I think it's going to be something like that. I think the Commanders are in for a long day. I don't think Taylor Heineke's the answer. I don't expect them to be able to run the ball super efficiently the whole game. Who knows? The Eagles' run defense has been shoddy at times this year, so that could be a way they do it. It's just I feel good about this Eagles team. The leadership that we have has been fantastic this year. I expect them ready to play, and if you made me pick the spread, I do think that they would cover.
Yeah, I think I think we'll have no issue. If this game was like a 1:00 game on a Sunday, I'd say, okay, maybe they come out slow, but there's no way the Eagles prime time Monday Night Football at home. The link's going to be popping against Taylor Heineke. I mean, I love looking when you look at an injury report, clean slate. Only guy on there is Josiah Scott, and none of our main guys are on the injury report at all heading in. Washington for them, Jahan Dotson, he's been out since week 4 with a hammy, so we don't know if he'll be there. That kind of takes a receiver away. They still have Scary Terry out there with Curtis Samuel and those guys. But yeah, I just don't think they're just under equipped, and I think this team is fully ready. Nick Sirianni has his guys going, as you mentioned. Jalen Hurts poised, isn't celebrating anything. 8 wins doesn't matter really at all, because once you get to the postseason, everybody's back to 0-0 once the tournament starts. So that's where it's at. But yeah, I mean, I like us big. I think we'll cover somewhere, I don't know, 33-14. Like, I think it'll be a comfortable Monday Night Football when they just don't have enough in Washington, and the Ron Rivera era is slowly coming to an end, I would say. But yeah, I mean, that's really the only topic, because it's not really going to be a competitor. I don't think it'll be that competitive of football on Monday night. Shouldn't be. I'd be concerned if it is, to be honest.
The one thing I'll say about the Commanders, to give them a little bit of credit, is like, I don't think they're like a terrible football team. They've gotten their butt kicked by the really good teams in this division, and they've been basically 500 outside of that. I think they're a mediocre team, but they're in the NFC East this year, and that's how it goes.
For sure. Okay, moving on. Our week 10 spreads. I think this is the first week ever where me and you straight down the board have been exactly the same. There's nothing, no counterpoints, nothing at all. I guess the only question is, what games that we both picked do you like and would consider your best pick if you were playing, I don't know, if you were playing a 3-game parlay, or you're playing, what is your lock of the week out of week 10, since we don't really have anything to disagree on?
Seahawks +3 I like a lot. We talked about that earlier, so I'm going to give a different answer. Cowboys -5 in Green Bay. I expect the Cowboys offense to score at least 20 points, and I don't see any way Aaron Rodgers scores more than 14 points. I'm going to be surprised if he gets to 14, scores 2 touchdowns against this very elite Dallas defense. I just don't see it happening. I hate to say it, but like, I absolutely love the Cowboys -5.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, and I like Dolphins as well. They just have everything. Like, Tyreek Hill's ridiculous. They seem to have a little bit of a run game with Jeff Wilson out there. And they found Raheem Mostert going, and they have Jalen Waddle. They just have too much, and the Browns don't have enough. Luckily, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, I think? Yeah, 2 weeks, and Deshaun Watson comes back. Yeah. So maybe there's some hope. At least you'll get to see a little bit of Deshaun Watson. Who knows how good he'll look out there. But yeah, I like the Dolphins. They seem to have everything going. They're now kind of right in a division race. When you look at a Josh Allen injury, it's kind of they're going to come out, play their best football. Mike McDaniel's been coaching them up well. So I like the Dolphins 3.5 against the Browns.
I would say a good week for a little teaser. I would 100% take Chiefs with the 9.5, the Cowboys with the 5, and the Niners with the 7, and tease 6 to 7 points, depending on how you feel about the 9.5 for the Chiefs. But I think it's a great week to tease those 3 teams.
For sure. Any kind of closing thoughts before we wrap this up and kind of see where, now that we've agreed on everything, all our picks, we go 0 for 13 on the week because we suddenly agree on everything?
That you pretty much read my mind. Lots of favorites here, so that means there'll be a lot of upsets. It feels like an obvious week, which probably means it'll be a chaotic week.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be a chaotic week, no doubt. But that's going to do it for the week 10 preview. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. If you have any feedback, drop it below in the comments or add us on Twitter at Take3Sports. If we pay $8, we could probably be verified now. I see that's going on. So maybe we'll do that. You might see a blue check mark right next to us. As always, Spotify link will be in the description. And yeah, we'll be back next week to see where all of our picks go wrong for week 10 and then get into week 11.